That's only,
I can move, I can move.
You're all right.
I'm versatile.
I just had to ask some questions.
I can call Richie in there. It's actually.
Pros,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's got
look
a,
today more time.
microphone thing
Yeah.
that breaks down.
Can't get to
the microphone.
It's the media package that I got.
Election, because that's it.
Did you see the video?
Yes, I did. Yep, I did.
Crystal clear.
Yep. Okay. You get started here. You ready? Roll call.
Lawrence,
Here.
Passo,
Here.
Gibson, Warren,
Here.
Dees,
Here.
Nelson.
Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go to a special meeting. We got Frank from Illinois modification and review ordinance book draft.
Ready to go?
Let's do it.
How many hours you wanna be here? Let's
At
shoot
midnight, I
for,
gotta go home or I turn into a pumpkin.
you have a note?
A note from my mom?
Well, shoot for 2 hours, sometimes you never know how long it is. But what I'm gonna do is gonna start with chapter 1 and basically ask if any of you have any questions or notes or revisions that I need to address in this particular chapter as I go through this. Unless, does anybody, do you have any type notes other than what I got originally? Okay.
Was that mine? Was that the one that I sent to everybody?
Okay.
All right.
I mean, gave you the original, like 12, 13 pages and so forth.
I got one on Frank on, I guess it's in chapter 1, it's number 13 on your list you gave us, talks about special meetings.
Yes.
Since we did this, we've also revamped that to where when we have a special meeting in conjunction with a committee meeting,
Okay.
the trustees, nobody gets paid for that meeting because we're already at the committee meeting.
Right.
So we want to make sure that goes in there, right?
Okay.
Because right now it says you get paid for special meetings, so we need to make sure that's revised.
Got it.
And I think there was one more on chapter 1 that I found anyway. Then on, oh, wait till you get down there.
If we can put it on the USB, so we can throw it on our computers.
Okay.
It talks about,
What section?
yeah, this is section 1 still, but it's in the ordinance violation and compliant to notice to appear, where it talks about use cash only if paying in person. We don't accept cash, so we need to make sure that is taken out. It's on page 2025, or page 1-40.
1-40?
Yes, sir.
That's what I need.
First paragraph, it's the last sentence in that paragraph where it says use cash only
Okay.
if paying in person.
And that was from your original law?
Yes, sir.
Shouldn't you put like, that you now accept like credit cards and checks and whatever you do accept?
It's already in there.
Oh,
And I'll caution all of you, my left ear hearing just about went shot, and that's why I'm sitting here so I can hear it. Oh, dude, never had anything like that until this week. It's crazy. Anybody else have anything in chapter 1, give me the section and what you are thinking about or kind of concerned about? Do you understand the quorum on your meeting situation where you can have the mayor and 3 trustees, okay, or 4 trustees. That's one that's often misunderstood. The rest of it follows what we have modifications from the league at times when they're issuing their notices, and we pick that up right away and amend whatever content we need to amend based upon that. Let's see, you did say we have, what, $200 per meeting?
No.
I got it. Oh, Lord, I know. When I served on the village board, I got $10 a meeting back in 1963.
Wow, a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was 21 at the time. No, that's kind of crazy. For all of you, I was telling him a while ago, I have served in public office, elected office, for 50-plus years. I was on the county board in St. Clair County, and you know, that's notorious territory down there. So it's been an interesting experience.
How about some?
And I appreciate what you guys are doing, serving in office. Anything in chapter 3 that anybody had particularly? There were a few ads in there that I noted, and I guess the big question is, what do you wish to do about animals in the village, particularly chickens?
We doing wild chickens and?
No chickens?
No.
Okay, what's in your proposed code is from the city of Staunton. They seem to have the best one, so we'll, 3 dogs or 3 cats, right? That would be it? I think that's what you would.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's number 17.
Yes. We will take this out of here for you. Anything else particular with those that are familiar with the animal control laws, regs that we've got here? On page 3-10, for those of you that have the books. You're okay, I don't care what they say. Anyway, on section 3-2-15, I found a mistake. In paragraph A, the section should be 3-2-6.
Okay, got it.
And that was your penalty section here that we naturally kept it in from 2018. Unfortunately, I still don't keep all the dogs off the streets that you want. Is there anything else in that chapter that anyone has seen that needs to be adjusted? And at the bottom of these certain sections and articles, you will see the reference to the state statutes, so that if you have a question or a concern, you can go directly to that and find the wording that supports this particular article. We need to keep PETA out of Springfield because they're always coming up with another one. I think on boards and commissions, chapter 5, that's basically what you had before. And what normally is done for communities that have zoning, the planning commission and the zoning board are the same people. They act under different hats. The planning commission, maybe a subdivision would happen. The planning commission would review and determine what a recommendation would be to this body. And the same note, if somebody's asking for a special use permit under the zoning code, they would meet as the zoning court of appeals. And one of the biggest problems with that is lately, I've had communities in southern Illinois that cannot find 7 people to serve on the zoning board, which is by statute. The alternative to a zoning board is what Staunton, Hamel, and those communities around Alhambra, they've gone to zoning hearing officer, which he acts or she acts, has to be an attorney, and that person is the zoning board. But all final decisions when you have that zoning hearing officer should be made by the village board. Whatever that person is recommending, review it. You may not agree with it, and you can turn it down or you can grant it accordingly. My community had the same problem, and they combined, and we're 4,500 people, and they couldn't find enough people to serve. Nowadays, if you serve in public office or a position like that, you may be a target, period. Building regs, I think, are the same that you had. I make no recommendations there because I'm not a construction expert, so whenever whoever your building inspector is that's certified, that particular person should recommend any changes in that particular chapter. I think again in that arena, the legislature got carried away mandating certain things. They should stay in Chicago and sleep on it. Lord, did I say that? Anyway, let's see here. Tiny houses, you passed in 19, getting to be a situation across the state. Any changes that you would have there?
No.
Other than you may not want him?
No, I mean, we have an ordinance for that for it, so.
Yes.
They have to have but their picture of the roof. That's
Certain pitch, certain square footage, front and back, 2 doors, blocker, brick foundation, skirting around it, so basic.
And make sure it gets on the real estate taxes too,
Yeah.
right? Amen. We can always use a little of that. Shipping containers you've addressed on page 6-8, that's good.
The only thing that I want to add to that, and it needs to probably be discussed among the board, is that we voted on and agreed that we are to be charging $75 per diem after a default date if they don't move their shipping can. Are we staying with that program?
Well,
It's not listed on the ordinance.
Well, just on the one that we had the problem with. This one here, we haven't even decided.
we don't have an ordinance other than that, our ordinance is as far as if emergency.
Not in particular or anything specific, other than the fact that we voted that we were gonna charge the merchant $75 per day for every, and that's not in our ordinance.
Correct.
But we
Well,
did it during public.
Check section 1-1-20 is the universal penalty for this entire code. It applies everywhere, all the way through. Because years ago, when none of you were around yet, they used to have a penalty section with every violation that were in the 19, 17, and 20 codes. And all modern codes have one universal penalty unless there's a special situation somewhere. So now each day that they are in violation is an additional penalty.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the verbiage that we need.
That is a course
I'll look it
that
up
this
later.
chief here would verify, if the judge goes along with it.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to jack up to the judges and say, quit being so damn liberal. Lord forgive me again. All right.
So what are you asking, Kip? Are you asking that because we said it's gonna be $75 penalty, are we setting precedence with that?
if it's not listed
Because
in the,
if,
it's not in the ordinance,
You
if
know,
we're gonna follow it,
if
then
that's what we said, then we can't really say, oh, well, you know.
that's,
You get it
that's
for
the,
less.
that's why I brought it up. But I'm about the discussion.
Yeah, that's a good thing you brought up, because I wanted to point that out about that penalty section that is applicable. all
Well,
the-
it would not seem in any way, shape, or form fair to me for us to continue to do what, with the Vertes, and that we're gonna be charging them $75 per detail because we.
Everything's gone now.
Right, but I mean, they didn't do it on their charge sheet.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So it
It
needs
was
to,
like a week, 2 weeks, here.
That ordinance 1-1-20, it states right there that.
Yeah.
we can set it though, is that?
It's already set.
That's what he said.
$75,
Yeah.
so beyond that, it goes up and it goes
Yep.
up.
Maximum $750.
Yep.
Right.
Then it's covered.
If you happen to be home rule, which you aren't, the penalty can go through the roof, big time.
But that answers your question, Sue, right? It's in
Yeah.
there, so that's
Yeah.
good. Good, thank you.
Okay, now we're in the business code. Let me start out by saying, let's go Article 1, administrations. Are there any comments there or questions that you would like to run past me? I would periodically check everybody that's in town doing some kind of business and make sure that the state Department of Revenue has that business on the list, that you are getting the sales tax from that operation, if applicable. I have been in communities that the most serious one happened down around Benton, Illinois. The town I'm dealing with was $850 a month. Something didn't sound right. A gentleman moved into town from Chicago and met with us, and I said, you need to check this. It ended up that the sales tax, because they go by Benton post office instead of West City, the sales tax ended up with what had developed there to $250,000 a month. That's how big an increase, because they happen to have a Walmart move in, and the other businesses were across 57 and looked like they were part of Benton. They weren't, they were part of West City, so all that sales tax got reversed to West City. So we had that happen in Mechanicsburg up in this area, and check that out sometime just to make sure they're all paying taxes to you.
Good idea.
It could be a big item.
Yes.
Do you have any contact information? Because I do call up the Illinois Department of Revenue for this information, and they tell me they cannot give it to me. I'm the treasurer.
Yeah, well, I can see where they won't give you any numbers from the business, but they should provide you with the business name and whether or not they're paying taxes here in the village. In fact, here, pass this down. I brought some things along for you. That's for it goes along with this code, and if somebody wants one of those, then when they come in here, they can have one. Let's see. Peddlers, anything there? That was, I think, it was your law that you had in the books previously when we did the code. And coin-operated machines were, what, $25, I believe here. And on the gambling end of it, are we, on the video machines, what are we charging? 25 or more?
I think it's 50, isn't it?
25.
It's 25 per machine,
Yeah.
and then is there a licensing, 250 or something, is that right?
That is it.
You can charge up to 250 per machine. That's what the law was changed a couple years ago. And, so right now you are at $25
Every sheet.
per machine.
Yeah.
And basically, my observation is that is the salvation of a lot of taverns and other entities
Yeah.
selling liquor.
We have a lot of them here already.
Yeah,
A lot.
Charge them all $250?
Well, the municipality gets their share of it as well too.
oh yeah,
I would be opposed to raising that myself.
yeah. That makes sense.
If they're in business, we've already got a really low sales tax rate anyway, compared to our neighbors, so,
Right. Understand that.
yeah.
Auto salvage yard, that's your existing law. And of course, zoning can, with junkyards and auto salvage, regulates any more future locations of entities like that. And let's see, raffles. Any questions on the raffles? Bottom line is, whoever in the village sponsors a raffle, they need a license from the village to protect them. If they don't have a license, Department of Revenue, if they ever get fully staffed, can take all their assets away from them because they're not qualified nor are they licensed. And raffles can get carried away, which I may have noted in my letter, like this Queen of Hearts is the big thing. We had a raffle just a few miles from where I live. The prize was $2 million. That's how much they had built it up to in Waterloo. Steelville, $1 million, Aviston, and a lot of others. The bottom line is, if you ever have that situation, you're gonna end up calling in the sheriff's office and all available state police, because in Waterloo, they went like 10,000 people plus came into town. And Steelville's only 2,000 people, and they had 10,000 people. Needless to say, the town was a little crowded.
So you're suggesting that when there is a raffle, the village should license it?
They should come and get one to protect themselves.
Yeah, we
You
have
don't
to
have
license
to,
it.
Do we do that now?
Yeah, I mean, we would if we had one, but we never have had one.
no,
I'm not
Never
sure
had
who
one.
would, would the American Legion need one?
Yeah.
American, you know what, I never thought about
So
that.
even.
That's that $10,000.
Well, they do better
But
than
you got
that.
all those other Ducks Unlimited and all those other
Yeah,
raffles
that's
going
true.
on.
Yeah.
We probably need to look into that more, Frank, because I think our challenge is gonna be the actual word raffle, to be honest with you. Because I know that the American Legion might have some other types of liberties that they're able to do.
Cause they're because.
Like, I know that they wanna have Texas Hold'em tournaments, which is illegal, mostly, they could if they chose, but it's something we need to
He's
look
saying if
into.
it's conducted in the village of Kincaid,
They have to
that
have.
they should have a license from us
to
in order
protect
to
them.
protect their entity.
Yes,
Okay.
and you don't have to charge a fee if you don't want to.
Have we ever done that, Evan?
Does
Ever heard
this
of that?
include the schools too?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Like
Churches,
our
schools,
parish
everybody.
in town has, I don't know how many raffles during with the picnic and everything else. They have to have a license for every one of them.
Okay.
What kind of fee are they talking, Frank, do you know?
Well, normally it's $15 or
Oh,
something.
so, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and like I
It
said,
says
the mayor's got the power to.
25?
That's what it says here.
Yeah.
And you could waive it. I mean, like I said, you could, no problem, they can say, wait, how about that? Forget it. Because usually, unlike the big cities, you're gonna know who's doing it, what they're doing it for, and everything else. And it's, you don't wanna,
And all they're doing is protecting themselves.
absolutely.
Well, and I wonder if they're doing that because they'd be able to say, can we tax that individual upon that winnings?
Yeah,
If you know it's the case, we would know,
yeah.
you know? I'm curious.
I had the
Good
Department of Revenue come down to our county, and we have to have 250 organizations showed up to hear what they had to say, and that basically is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
They even confiscated the Knights of Columbus in our community. They caught them doing that, and they never had a license.
No, I don't think we've ever done it that I know of.
No.
And maybe we need to,
We used to
we're
be-
gonna have to incorporate that as part of our practice, not, and like you said, we can waive it if we want,
Oh, yeah.
or.
I mean, you don't need
school or
money
whatever, you
for
know.
something like that, really. Tattoo establishments, I think that's your existing law, because normally I don't put that in. But, I can see where we need to, hold somebody responsible. That's from 1996. And then you passed, I think here, the retail cannabis sales.
Do we have any retail cannabis stuff here?
No.
Okay.
Come on,
Not that you know of either, huh?
What, yeah, no.
I think our legislators need more of that than we do. Lord, forgive me. Get her done. All right, let's see. Cable TV, that's, I guess, still existing, so we just leave that in there the way you've had it. My next one is employee policies. Now, my alternative suggestion is don't include your employee policies in the code. That way you can make a motion at a meeting or a resolution if you want to go that far and modify it without an ordinance every time you want to do it. I've taken it out of Fairview Heights and a lot of the other municipalities and counties that I work with. What you've got here is good, and it shouldn't be a problem, but like I said, you keep it on the side and as your employee manual. Just call it that. I mean, that's,
Agreed.
agreed?
Yep.
Okay, let me make a note of that one.
We discussed it, exactly that.
Yeah. We had one municipality that wanted their labor contracts in the code. Needless to say, it was 100 pages. Blow your mind. Floodplain, that's up to FEMA if Trump lets it exist any longer. So you've got what FEMA has told you to have on the books to be in compliance. I talk to those boys every now and then to figure out something. Franchises on chapter 15, Ameren, I should say, /CIPS and Rural Electric Co-op and Ameren Gas Franchise. That we can't change. It looks good just the way it is. Make them give you all the money they can give you for the franchise. They'll appreciate that. Let's see, that takes us up to liquor code. I think somebody had some changes on that, which we took care of. Now, what happens every now and then if I get a window, if I see something coming from a municipality, whether it was Belleville, Fairview, Anna, Jonesboro, or any of them, that's unique and something that other municipalities would like to adopt and never thought about it, we will send out a newsletter saying, hey, this is available if you think you might want it. Because it regulates or adjusts certain regulations that would be helpful to a municipality. And we get a lot of that stuff because we've done 330 municipalities and counties in the state, and you'd be surprised what some of them come up with sometimes. Very useful, and then we plug it into our model and or send it out in the newsletter. So keep We usually send it to the attention of the mayor, and you guys can just all get a copy and see what it looks like, if it'll fit the community. Your licenses, you pretty well had things under control here. We had a few ads pursuant to the statutes. Let's see here. Does anybody see anything, any of you guys see anything that you, one letter that you got? Any changes?
Not on that, not on the.
No, we thought, basically, with your sheet, those your recommendations that you suggested and changes, I felt like we all kind of agreed with, to be honest.
What I try to do with these is a community will pass an ordinance, maybe that they copy from another town. Problem is, not all the content is there that should be. And that's where we pick that up and we're gonna put it in there. And then if you don't want it, that's fine, but we want to cover the bases, because let's face it, how many here in this room have time to sit down every day maybe and go through this and this and this and try to figure out, well, do we need that, or that sounds confusing. So that's why we do what we do with it, to make sure we got all bases covered, period.
Well, I don't think that this has been done since 2013. So moving forward, probably maybe you need to work with Jamie and so we can stay up.
And
Keep
you're
current, stay compliant.
You're gonna have the thumb drive that can be put on a website and copied and referred to, those of you that are computerized and can do that.
Well, this whole premise was about making sure we had everything available for the village
Exactly.
and to be compliant. Which
Exactly.
that's the whole premise of this, is to have it for them.
Let's see. Generally, anybody have any questions regarding mandated policies on 22? That is a new chapter several years ago that we decided to implement because the legislature is slamming down our throats all the time. New laws, mandates, unfunded, preferably, they usually like to do that. And so we put them all in one chapter because if you apply for a grant, those laws in this chapter are probably going to be the ones you're going to submit with your application. Or the engineers, or the regional planning commission, whoever does your grant work, they're going to need this chapter. And it's going to be all in one place neatly. And anything else that the legislature comes up with, the most recent one, whistleblowers. Gotta have it on the books. Thank goodness the state doesn't have enough staff to audit all the municipalities to make sure that they have done due diligence. Trouble is, they never do. But anyway, one glad Christopher can't hear me. Anyway, let's see. But is there anything, and any of you come across in there that has concern? I'll tell you what the sticker is in there, or stickler I should say, is fair housing. Boy, you don't want to get mixed up and do something that violates the content of that, because I had a guy by the name of, you may have heard of him, Bill Clinton, his attorney general, when I was on the county board, sent us a letter because of some action we took on that violated fair housing, and said, we're going to fine you $10,000 a day if you don't change that law. Needless to say, we changed it within 5 minutes once we got that. And believe me. What was, I can't even remember her name. She, Reno. Janet Reno, yep. She loved me. I've been, let's face it, when I was on the county board, I went through hell with some other stuff. that we got thrown at us. Let's see, ethics code is yours from 2004. Again, we could use some ethics up in Springfield. Equal employment is your law. Basically, everything here is what you need to cover your bases and your ends too. Let's see here. Whistleblower, I don't think you'll ever have a problem here with that, but we had to adopt it. Here's the good one, chapter 23. This gets mishandled, screwed up, anything you want to call it, over the years. Now, anybody have any questions to start with on that topic that you want to throw at me? Basically, you cannot prohibit them. You can inspect them with a proper and licensed inspector before they come into town. With zoning, you have the provision to allow manufactured home parks and individual manufactured homes, but you don't necessarily have to have that district on your zoning map. It's got to be there in case somebody comes in with a legitimate proposal and development, and it's there for the zoning board to hear it, and it would be a special use issue, and they don't necessarily have to grant it. But it gives you some content to restrict it, and when you issue a special permit, the zoning board can put conditions on it, big time, for any type of use that's under special use. And if the applicant that got the special use does not follow the restrictions to that, the use can be pulled, and they have to stop and cease unless they bring it into compliance. But on the other issue, the variance that you've heard about, that runs with the land, no conditions. And you got to be very careful about that. And I would say this, that whoever is your zoning administrator, if that there's a question about it or a problem, call me. I'll give you my best shot on what I would recommend that you do. So this is as much content that I can put in that restricts the use. Definitely you don't want any in here built and entitled mobile home. Everything after 1976 is manufactured home, even though we say trailers and mobile home. Because they were using aluminum wire up until that time, and there was a fire hazard. They said, no more, we're going to have HUD with a code, and you're going to have to build it to that. And so that's what we're covering in here to cover our bases. So you can, like I said, modify. Do we have any manufactured home parks in town?
No.
Okay.
No, we got,
Behind the diner, that I wouldn't necessarily call
That
it.
one out there, right?
Guy'sville,
Guys,
yeah.
guys and Bill.
Liam's old, yeah.
Well, tell them to go to Toby.
Well, there's still,
Laura, did I say that?
there's still a couple spots up behind the old IGA.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only place we can go down.
Or bullpen, maybe. Let's see here. Any parks that are ever authorized, there's a maximum of $50 license fee. And to be honest with you, the state does not effectively inspect these mobile home parks, okay? They just don't. That's why it's important for you to have something on the books that you can go at them with if necessary, bottom line.
But based on everything that you just said, Frank, we're in pretty good shape with what you've got written here, correct?
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any amendments that we need to add to this, correct?
No, this is,
Okay.
this is in place, this particular chapter right now, probably in about 200 municipalities.
Understand.
Yeah, and if they run into a problem, an issue, litigation or whatever, I say, call me, let me know what you ran into, and we can fix it, or we have a shortcoming, you know, taken care of right away.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Motor vehicle, chief, you got anything?
No, we're all good here.
And what's in here, you know, in this content, and I'm repeating what state's attorneys have told me in the 20 counties that we have worked with. They really don't need this in the county code, but it gives them the opportunity to prosecute under the local code or under the more stringent penalty of the state code. And that's why it's in here like it is. And we added a couple things like this cell phone usage recently, and other things that we come up with, like I said, that we see other municipalities that are on the ball. They come up with a new law, or one that they'd like to see added, and that's why they are like that. And make sure, now let me go back here, I'm looking at let's see here. See, you got golf carts, we got that covered. Grandma got one over by a golf cart, or Christmas, something like that. If any of you see any of the stop signs, no parking, etc., not on this list, because this is a list that we were given and modified periodically, that is in here, so we want to make sure we got all of those signs covered if we're missing one, okay? And that's kind of a task that's takes some time and aggravating, I know, but sometime I would suggest that your yield intersection, Schedule C, be eliminated and make it stop signs. People don't understand on the yield side, they just think they ought to be able to run right through without pausing. No parking zones and speed zones.
Snow routes is already in here, Mike.
Apparently, don't go in St. Louis and walk on any street or get run over.
Yeah.
It's their favorite trick.
Before or after.
Run over pedestrians.
We should have it designated.
We will, I can see that.
Oh, I haven't been downtown at St. Louis since I was a season ticket holder for the Cardinals, and it's too dangerous sometimes. You have to be armed. On nuisances in chapter 25, we try to cover everything, and I want to have you go to page 25-3. And by the way, we have modified some on that list from the state statutes, making it more inclusive. But on this page 25-3, you see these materials susceptible to becoming windborne and mechanical equipment, noise and everything. I'll give credit to Fairview Heights. They came up with this because it was a problem. And so we've dropped it into here that it can be enforced as needed if the situation arises. And like I said, every now and then we get an ad here that looks, hey, we need to put that in there, big time. You know what the problem is, the sidebar on this? Let's say that your police chief has cited somebody for debris, junk. They think their yard is a open air dump and somewhere. And that person is cited for a violation. Problem is, that person doesn't have any money to clean it up to begin with. I mean, sometimes in some of these cases, like in the village of Smithton next to me, they went 4 years before they got this one guy to get it cleaned, and they ended up cleaning it up. Well, even putting a lien on the property wasn't even worth that. In fact, if they had taken it over, there'd have been more in debt and liability, you know. But every now and then, you gotta make an example of doing it just for the hell of it, and make sure everybody in town knows it too. So they don't start accumulating everything on the outside instead of on the inside. Just a thought. I could start writing a newspaper of some of the stuff I hear. Weeds, typical, that's basically what should be on the books, and garbage and debris.
What's the limit here as far as tall grass and weeds? Like, what's the height?
8 inches.
8 inches?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. And, I'll be getting to that paragraph shortly. Public camping, that was the latest out of the league. And the only reason the league wrote it up, basically, was because the Supreme Court issued, the US Supreme Court wrote an opinion that they can do certain things, and that's what Brad Cole and his staff incorporated in this, so that we've got some protection and then these farms here were developed by the attorney in the Belleville area. He modified what we originally had, and should cover the situation. My suggestion is, first of all, let's say that someone is in violation. You issue the letter to them that they have so long to clean it up. And that would come from your code enforcement officer. The second step would be your attorney sending them one, which may carry more weight or not, I don't know. It could very well encourage the person to clean up. The third step is you take them to court and make an example out of them that they are in violation of decent yards, and no nuisances do we need.
Question about nuisance on 25-4-2.
25-4-2?
Yes.
Let me get there. Got it.
I have a paper copy here of storage declared nuisances, but however, on her laptop over here, we're not finding it. Has it been renumbered or something, or?
Declaration of nuisance?
Storage declared nuisance, 25-4-2, and it has an A and B subsection.
Oh, no, I don't have that.
Okay.
I will be happy to change it.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get a copy. Now I'm going to throw something at you that is a sidebar. I got a call from a municipality on the Indiana border. We have, around Lawrenceville, we got the whole shebang over there. And this village clerk, real nice, said, Frank, what can we do with a building and a variety store abandoned with homeless people living in it? We have an adjoining wall with the bank, which is active. I walked her through, state's attorney, Department of Health, all this stuff, fine and dandy. Poor Holly's had to listen to this a couple times already. I said the second option is burn the damn place down. She called me the next morning, it had burned down that night. Every fire department in White County had to answer the alarm, so they got it. And my last comment to her was, jokingly, it took me 3 hours to drive over there, so you owe me. That's only happened 3 times in my lifetime that I made that comment about burning down, and that night it burned down. And I'm not a firebug. Offenses. I'm gonna defer. Chief, did it look okay for you, what we got covered in there? 20 pages. We got these, we just revised this chapter about 2 years ago because the statutes changed. So we modified each of these sections that are cited with the state reference to accommodate those changes that the legislature made. The one that surprised me is on page 27-2, where 16-year-olds can sell tobacco products in the convenience store. It was 21. Some cigarette company probably got on their case and made them change it at the state level.
Somebody got rich off of it.
But if anything stands out there, let us know, because most of this, as you can see from the references at the bottom, are from the statute.
I don't know what we do. Yeah.
He said that was good, there.
Let's continue.
That's what we just see where we were at.
And the burning regulations are from your existing ordinance. In fact, there's a number of areas, divisions here, that articles that are your existing law.
Where's this different section? Should find is all your profit motor vehicle stuff on this new stuff though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's all changed.
On 225 now.
What I had, or just hatred.
Now you might tell him what's
We can
going on.
copy this too, because I have another copy in this contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has scribbles on it. But you know, I can grab a nicer one at the truck.
This is what he's talking about. This is not what revised, yeah, this whole.
And that's the one that you guys should talk about adding, completely covered in that section there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that means
Where it's
right now,
it's
it's
right
right
now, 4x4.
As far as I know, let me double check on mine.
It's covered. You guys wanted to say complete.
Yeah.
And
And what, and that should be in
I
that.
never had that.
Yeah, that's complete. That's cool.
I've had 2 strokes, 2 heart attacks. I'm going, after a while, I'm going to agitate.
The definitions are not the same.
3 hours.
Kansas City.
I'm sitting here and like, I wish I would rub my leg down.
Because you guys want that one.
This one's not in
I tell you what, I got a few clerks that came up to me with your attorneys, local attorneys, and they call me up and they clean me up. And,
And this is not in there either. I wonder who would that-
Right, no.
County.
I mean, yeah.
Like I said, I always thought, the other one was just
Oh, yeah.
coach of our, or coaches, they're enforcing Frank.
Yeah.
My dad
Yes.
was head my grandfather.
Yeah,
right.
right.
My uncle,
To the county.
it's all years and I'm the first generation to the
Storage and debris cover, any broke down machinery.
Almost, you know.
Well, it should.
Looking at that.
So it should be a whole lot of problems. Be sure that's not east.
No, I got it.
Yeah, I got a bunch of.
I brought some. I brought some.
They don't run, they don't run, it's in there. You give them some along there, what we got? All of that? If you want to.
That's part of it.
I think you can have that.
That's
what makes it work for them.
Hey, you guys ready over there, Frank?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, on parks, were there any changes that you wanted to make there? I guess that might be your local park, yeah. Boat licensing, Kincaid Lake rigs.
What page you on?
Give him the bottom right page, Frank.
Oh,
Bottom right page.
28-1 forward, going forward to the back. I think that's all your local laws regulating.
We just updated the link.
Got it.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to keep our power plant a couple more years down in Baldwin. And then we got Prairie State down there too.
What happens if they're up past this definition?
That won't happen in
You're coming up.
Trespass or?
Yes.
It's not that I agree with him on a lot of issues, but that is gonna keep our power plants open down there. We got Prairie State and Baldwin.
Prairie State making fertilizer out of it right now, ain't they?
Did what?
Prairie State, ain't they making fertilizer out of that?
Yeah.
I got a friend of mine, he's out there hooking up all the power in that for.
Okay. Now, Washington County comes out smelling like a rose with that power plant.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. I just finished their code for the county.
Yeah, they're making that ginseng out of there, fertilizer.
Yep.
1.5 now.
We're ready.
All right. Everything basically in that chapter 28 is your law. And I think property maintenance that's in there, this is chapter 29, is also your law. Is there? Anybody?
What's that?
He'll be for the lake lot.
I forgot what he's talking about.
The lake lot.
Yeah, I know.
We revamped that.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
It's all new.
That's all good.
Good. Now, property maintenance, on that aspect, properly enforced should really be a big help. Because we got a lot of absentee landlords in southern Illinois that don't give a damn about how their property looks. And it goes on and on. And this gives them power to do something about it.
Some of the problems we have.
Yeah. In our community, most of the time, if we get something that's vacant, number one, we don't have enough available housing. Belleville is trying to get out, and so they moved to Freeburg, for whatever reason. Because East St. Louis is taking over Belleville. So we have that, and any business location normally fills up pretty well right away. We got like 100 and some businesses right now going forward. But our population's not going anywhere. So,
She did, she just needs to
let's see what else we got here. I think the principal thing that's changed in chapter 30 is the first article. And that was basically a result of the legislature during COVID and meetings and stuff, changing the law.
Format of the meetings.
How you post notices and emergencies and all that. Now, the police department, do we have any changes there? Let's see. See how one section said, our chief of police shall receive no less than $90,000 a year. Did I get that right? A sad sidebar. We have 18 officers, sworn officers. And I think, Holly, do you remember what the salary they said they were?
No.
I think it's 85,000 each. Our deputies in the county, that we have a ton of, sometimes, the average is 100.
Not here.
Look at the area,
With population,
down the area.
1,200 versus population, 120,000. And the revenue.
Yeah, they're really having a time soliciting the officers to serve.
Anywhere, that's all
Oh, yeah. We have 5 communities that have none, and the sheriff's office is gonna take it over, and there'll be an intergovernmental agreement that they pay so much to support those deputies. St. Lori, Wade, Marissa, Whitey Herzog's hometown.
On this one,
30-5 down at the page, 30-5.
Okay, let me get to there. Got it?
Subsection B, 1,000 hours. Last time I checked, it was 1560 for
Fif-
part-time.
1560?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's on the Illinois Training Board's website too. It states
Okay.
that number as well.
Have you ever heard of Brendan Kelly? He's the head of the state police.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now, yeah.
He and I worked together in
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Clair County. And there's another one that I had years ago as a student was Jerry Costello, who's the head of the Department of Agriculture. I turned out too many politicians. Okay, we got EMA covered, that's standard, when you need it. The only thing I've ever done for Christian County, John Curtin was chairman, is I codified the zoning law for the county back I don't know how many years ago
On the
that was.
state website,
But,
it says 1560, I don't.
Yeah, they had a mess. Anybody have anything on street regulations? This should work,
I know they.
but there's one thing I wanna tell you. In here, we have a provision that property owners have to mow their ditches from, if there's a sidewalk out toward the street pavement, okay? You guys didn't hear this. You can't force them to do it. Only if you're home rule. But you can get by with it as much as possible until they say, you can't do that. But yeah, you can't force them to mow that grass, which kind of gets to be a big nuisance if the weeds are allowed to grow between their property line and the street, bottom line. But that's been litigated and thrown out, if anybody was charged with it. Mayor, do you see anything else in chapter 33, or whoever is the street chairman here? We pretty well got what you had, and the big change, and you may have made that, is Article 4, dealing with construction of utility facilities and rights-of-way. That is a standard provision pretty well in the state of Illinois, developed by the League and AT&T engineers. So it's pretty well, so when one of these companies, cable companies coming into town, they know that this is gonna be the restrictions and regulations they gotta follow. Or they're up, you know what creek, without a paddle. Now we're going to get into an area of concern. I don't know how many of you have reviewed chapter 36 on taxation. The first article, no problem. If you don't levy for one of these categories, that's fine, but they're there and it does not require a referendum. Article 2 is standards that you have to apply and to adopt Taxpayers' Rights Code. Now, Article 3, page 36-7. Take a look at it. We're dealing with telecommunications. And I think in my notes indicated and pointed out that as far as I know, based upon the ordinances I received, your tax is 1.5%. And any money raised by this particular law, I always say, put it into the police fund. You are allowed 6%. You're collecting 1/4, basically, of what you're allowed. That's one. The next thing is, which you probably have turned down in the past, is the Ameren electric tax and gas tax. Each one of them, you're eligible for 5%. The advantage of that, and you're one of the rare communities that has not adopted it, it allows you to receive revenue that you can keep from raising your tax rate, real estate taxes, or without maybe even raising a utility rate sometime, somewhere. So anyway, those three things are available if you ever want to use them. Let's see, your population is what? 1,100, 1,200?
What was your question, Frank?
You're about 1,300 people. Okay, you take that, how much would those three items raise for you? You got your calculator? It would be $1,350 times $35. That's how much money it would generate.
About 400.
You make doing this?
Modification, $35 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
47,000?
Holy smokes.
Are we
And I'll tell you
not
why.
doing any of that, Beverly?
We get 5% from Ameren already.
Yeah, we get
Yeah,
5%.
yeah, you get what?
5%.
5% from
It's
Ameren.
not on your books.
We do.
That goes
That's been.
Is that for gas
a
or
long
electric?
time ago.
Electric and
They're both.
Gas.
we get 2
Okay.
a year.
Then I need to put that in this code.
Yeah.
Okay, and.
Well, and while we're doing that, what about specifically, you had mentioned, what was the other one that you had mentioned that we had the opportunity to?
Telecommunications.
Telecommunications, we get 1.5, and if we go to the police, it would go 6%, correct? The police doesn't have their own checking account or,
Well, that don't hurt, just,
but we could put it into the drug and education,
Yeah.
Tim, the 6%.
Yeah, what are we guys
So-
deeming this?
Yeah.
and then what happens is, I don't have the, I don't think so, I don't have the contact, or dates from the, because I deal with the Department of Revenue and the CPA for Ameren all the time. I talk to him, and in fact, Ameren has asked me to draft ordinances for municipalities that they serve, because nobody in the municipality knows how to do it, especially their attorney. So we draft it and put it in place and go from there. But this, let's say you enact it now, there's a leeway of a couple months before it goes into effect. And in this case, it would be after the election. Not that that makes any difference, but it's out there. But yeah, it would generate not as much as what we just figured here a while ago, because you're already collecting some. You get a franchise fee from Ameren, and then you're supposed to get a monthly check possibly, or every 3 months, for the 5% for electric and for gas.
Well, we get, Beverly, correct me if I'm wrong, now, we get the 5%, but we also get the 1% from Ameren as well, too, under the municipality, correct? I thought we checked on that.
You might get
Through Ameren, so
you
I
might
think-
get a lump sum.
We do, I'm almost
We get a
sure.
lump sum.
Yes,
And
yes.
then you get your 5%, but that check, I think is, well, with my last municipality, it's no more than every 3 months. It might be every month.
We get ours once a year.
Oh, no, that's just your fee for letting them in the town.
Right,
True.
that's all that is.
That's
But
not
that
the
fee would be
utility tax.
5%
That's
though.
not utility.
I'll
tax,
tell you what.
What he's saying.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll call him tomorrow, is Bill Breyer, and ask him what the community is getting right now. And if it's not getting the 5%, as we're talking here, we have to draft an ordinance and submit that to you, and then I want it back so I can make sure he gets it, and, my direct mailing to him,
You want me to pull the ordinances now?
if you can find them.
Frank, I got a quick question too, but if we wanted to pursue more information about the telecommunications tax, would that be through any vendors here in Kincaid, like CTI or internet providers? Is that what we're talking about? Because
Any telephone providers would need a notice of this, but I think we could do it through the Department of Revenue that I deal with. We send it to them after you pass it, and then they notify these entities that are out there. That
okay.
if you are servicing Kincaid, this is what you're taking care of.
And Beverly, to the best of your knowledge, we're not doing anything along the lines with the telecommunication part?
Oh, we're getting a tax for the telecommunication
We're
part.
already there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's part of it.
They're getting 1%, but if you take it to the police, you get up to 6.
I know, I like that
It
idea.
could be
Well,
any category you want, but I always suggest the police because oftentimes the police department is squeezed to get enough funds to operate. My own,
Yep, you're right.
I'll be your agent, we'll negotiate your salary.
Shit, he's already got the DJ raise.
So, would you draft that, Frank, or
For both of that,
telecommunications?
Once I find out where we're at, my secretary and I'll get that done, get it to you within days for your next meeting to adopt.
Okay.
And then I want a copy signed and stamped and everything sealed. And I will get that to him and he'll take care of it then.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
The president of Ameren was, I can't think of his name anymore. He retired recently. He was an African American. I tried to get him fired from our county because he was discriminating against us white folks. That really made me a friend of him. Oh. What?
Oh, okay.
That, is that right? Oh, shit.
What's the improper break?
I know there's a lot of stuff.
Get that covered a couple of years
Oh,
ago.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's like 3 different things, but
You can't switch it.
I'm gonna look. Really close.
Okay.
Consolidated, CTI, Unicom.
Yep.
Ameren gasoline.
AT&T,
Yeah.
Verizon. Because a portion of that, I know a portion of that, when you have a cell phone bill and you're paying, some of that it goes to Christian County, to the, call center.
Yes.
I mean, if you broke down and looked at
Yep.
what, you would be surprised. You would be, there's some, there's a lot of things.
Attached, yeah, there's about 6 categories.
I'm surprised that we're not on board with that already. I'm very surprised.
Well,
That's
when you don't update.
That's a
something
nice
for
chunk of money that
so many years.
we're leaving out there.
Well, if
Is-
somebody
is there
doesn't
just something-
tell you, you don't know.
Also, none of us are tax experts. We
Okay,
need
no-
guidance in this area.
That's why we have Frank.
For us to think that we are
Yeah,
all.
well, it was on here, 104, 105,
No,
106, to ask him that, and, because I was curious about that. Yeah.
Frank, I do have, the franchise agreement between Ameren for the electric, which expires 2037, and the
That's the
gas.
franchise.
Yes,
Like legal burn.
this is all franchise,
Yeah,
and the
that's in your
gas.
code.
But there are rates.
Right, and it expires in 2032.
We're not talking about that.
We don't.
Okay,
That's neither here nor there. We got that covered in chapter 16.
got it.
Unless it's 27-1-1.
Oh, let's take the easy chapter, utilities. Yeah.
What's your, bottom right page number, Frank, if you don't mind? Your bottom right page number, 38.
38, I'm starting on 38-2.
Got it?
Back to,
38.2.
well, I was gonna go to chapter 37, trash, number 107. That's a question there as far as.
I never received any trash contract that you may have with,
I don't think we have anything, did I?
We don't have a contract.
No.
no. You have private carrier?
You got 3 different private, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4.
We had 4, and I instituted a contract with Waste Management, which we've had for years.
in waste.
And
Yeah, is there
if any of these trash contractors operate in the alleys, or they can tear this stuff up big time, and that's why we went to one carrier. We got a good price, I think it's $15 a month, and it initially raised hell in the community because I got my cash carrier, I don't want them. The same way with several other people, hundreds. And eventually we got the one carrier, and they'll never give it up now anymore, because I'll tell you what, there's less tear and wear on the streets and alleys and everything, and they bring in, once a year, they bring in the big ones for every, big items, as part of the contract. And we ours are able to negotiate the villages, a decent price from them. And Holly, you think it's pretty good, isn't it? Our trash collection? No, we haven't had any problem with that. That's the advantage. Of course, the other three carriers that are gonna be out, they don't like that, but boy, I tell you what, having 4 trash trucks through the alleys or streets can really mess things up. And ironically, every day through my community, when I'm sitting at McDonald's in my other office, tending to people, there's at least 250 trash trucks coming through our community, hauling from Belleville, St. Louis, and New York trash dumped in Cahokia from the trains and hauled down to this landfill in Marissa, 4,000 acres of trash. I mean, that's
Down here for years also.
you know. So, I mean, it's something down the road you may want to think about and go from there. But hey, you know what guys don't operate a fire department, do you? In the village?
No.
I still find that around the state that they try to maintain it, and you gotta have a district to do all that stuff nowadays. And in regard to your utility chapter and starting on 38-2, are there any changes or revisions that you would observe that I need to pay attention to? And I think I got, Jamie, your last rates that we had from recent change in modification.
Yeah, I'm
I think we're good there, Frank, if you didn't make any recommendations or any changes, right? There's nothing you added to this one?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. A lot of this has got your previous ordinance number on it.
All the way up front with the
Okay.
Let's go back to the rates of the 38,479 or 97 or something, I think, maybe. No, it's earlier.
$38.24, $38.23. Looking for water rates.
Yes, got it. Thanks. Water rates on the bottom of that page, are they correct? On 38-23. $19.64 minimum. You're not gonna believe what I'm seeing across the state. As much as $70 for the first 1,000 gallons. North of here. Melvin, Illinois, and this area around Champaign-Urbana. The rates are going through the roof.
Jamie's gonna go check the rates quickly to make sure that she's gonna check.
Okay. I did see one here.
Would you, Frank, do you recommend that we post this is there any reason why we shouldn't be in a market minimum charge? For the mere fact of the matter is because we're probably gonna be changing that. you know, at some point in time.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think that this has been changed, has this been this way since 2013?
23.
Oh, 23? This just the 1962?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
you see at the bottom of the page, 3824, up there at the top, it has ordinance number 905, passed in 23. And I would say.
Oh, okay, I got it right here, 5/12/23, okay.
The change I see on this page is
So I didn't know.
the bulk sales rate
Search for
is too
Yeah,
low.
okay.
You're charging your people
I just seen that on there, so.
$19 for the first 1,500, but only $6 for 1,000 gallons bulk. And those people getting bulk probably don't live in the village. And for every person that's in the village, you're getting reimbursed by the state of $250 a year. That's what you're losing if you're serving any customers outside this village. And I'm excluding Bullpit and the other one, South Fork.
Are you suggesting that that bulk rate is not, is that,
Oh, it should be higher,
should be higher?
absolutely.
What are we at now, Mike, do you know?
It is higher, this is not
It-
right.
Yeah, that's
Totally
not
not
right.
That's not
That's
right.
what I was told.
Yeah, no.
Okay, what is
So,
the,
Even
bulk?
the, inside the village for the minimum charge is $22.
Wait a minute, let me get there.
The 28, that's 38, that's 23.
Is it an even
This is
22?
sewer, that's sewer, this is water, water's,
What's the minimum, Jamie?
22,
Even?
Even,
Yes.
straight up?
yes.
Yeah, because I just did these last year, remember when you
Yep.
did the 12% increase?
We did, yes,
So,
yes.
these have all been done.
That's why I point out, because I did receive something off the computer that there was no way I could interpret what the rates were based on, what you have on there to make out the bills.
I'll check.
Where's the, you have the sewer? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I got
Yeah,
now.
so here's water in town, so the minimum charge is for 22, for 15.
See, I couldn't make that out. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then this is per gallon after.
I'll tell you what I want you to do, to make it simple
Yes,
for me
yes.
to understand. Take this page and the other page
Okay.
and write the numbers on there so I don't get them screwed up.
Okay.
I kind of figured that these rates are changed. And the same with the sewer rates, I guess, right? I'm gonna have to make a beeline for this. I'm taking.
Go for it.
I'm taking this Eliquis, Ozempic, and Jardian and everything, believe me. Hang on to it.
We'll wait here, Frank.
Well, by the way, the reason I'm slow like this is I have two prosthetics. Which I have to show you after a while because they're very different. Yeah, I got amputees situation.
What is our, did we determine what our bulk water rate was?
We just raised that too when a new meter went in.
Yep. I don't know what it is, Kip, but we have, I could tell you what it is, but we changed everything to, whatever, to the cashless. And they had us for a couple different fees, so we had to, yeah.
You have to do something on the sewer fund.
Yeah, she knows.
Hey, while he's, quick question. What are your, I don't know that I would be on board with trying to narrow down just one garbage company, allow that, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, we had,
Yeah. I don't think we're there yet, I think we still need more choice.
I mean, I understand,
See, what they do,
but I don't know that there's any.
what they do is they give the town a set rate,
No,
and then they add so many fees to make their money.
Oh, okay. So even though you may have someone say, hey, we'll come do it for $30.
we definitely got to get
$30.
all the bugs worked out of it.
I was just curious, I was curious if anybody else felt the same way. I would
I
not
don't know of any-
support
I don't
not
know of
allowing that.
any place around here that does that. I think everybody else,
Springfield's
bigger cities maybe.
I think the
Yeah.
public does. They took over, the public took over waste management.
They bought them out.
Yeah,
Waste management.
and they're pretty pricey.
GFS, or
May I
GFL.
ask a question here? Before she gives them this number, you know we're supposed to be raising this water rate 2% every January.
Correct.
We haven't done that yet. They didn't know that.
Yeah, 'cause that's up with, and that is because the regular bill of 2%. Yes, we have a 20-year contract.
No, we haven't.
So before she gives them this number, maybe we should just go ahead and,
Add that in. I agree. Because then we're gonna have to, that's,
that's an automatic. every
correct.
January.
We already had that voted in.
Chocolate, 40-year contract,
Do what?
40-year contract. 57, I believe, is when it expires.
Yeah,
It is?
it's a long contract.
Okay. I thought it was a 20.
Yeah, that was a bad deal.
Well, you see, remember as far as the line, where we was gonna come in from, what, Iliopolis or that 8-inch line, it was, I'm glad we came out where we did. Because it wasn't looking good. I mean, it wasn't for our numbers.
Yeah, so I think the other option was, dig up all of our water and have to sell it.
But after so many years, they can,
My amount last year.
it's gonna come back. Don't know who all of us will be around as far as to see it, but it,
All of our rates just
We
went up.
could have a water.
Would there be an option to do short contracts?
Don't tell them.
I have a bid.
That's what I was wondering,
You
okay?
can't do shorter contracts?
there was money to rebuild that.
No.
To put that in.
No, it's 40-year
It was, it was basically the same amount of money as it was to put the water line through. Been running out of more members water.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
All it takes about is getting rid of it off there.
Same year.
We would've had a new plant out there.
Yes, we did.
Well, no, they're gonna put, the outfit I was talking to, they were out of Colorado, and they were gonna build it right at the water tower. So as long as we had a 6-inch line run through it, no problem. It's been told stainless steel
That'd
structure.
have been nice.
Yep.
We wouldn't have to worry about it.
Slowly
No.
replacing.
Then we go ahead and build.
Other than maybe come through every so many years and re-dredge, Kincaid Lake, we know that needs
Yeah.
re-dredged.
See, I talked to Commonwealth about, that's what Commonwealth told me. Because we had that line running, I don't know if it's still running in our lake or not. Probably not. because we're not doing it.
There, that junction's right outside there, yeah.
But we had we had a line running out there off of Commonwealth. And it wasn't big enough, to supply, it was just to make up the drought,
Yeah.
the drought time. But, they didn't want no part about supplying the main line.
Last year to do it every year.
Which was a shame, I don't know why they didn't want to.
That's a self-required, that's gonna
Oh,
increase every year. I mean, it's an automatic deal, there ain't nothing, we can't stop it, so.
We'll see. Real quick too, there was one of the notes. Do we have a set limit for getting bids for projects? Is it $25,000? Is that in our ordinance now?
For what?
For, if we were to do, if we had to need to get bids for any type of project?
Anything above
Anything
25,000.
above-
Is it 25? And that's in our, good, because I think we misquoted there. Okay, and that's in there already.
Yeah, right in there, yeah.
Yeah, it's not 10. it's
Okay.
25.
Do we talk, what about the bidding? Live bids or doing the, do we discuss that?
Yeah,
He,
we had.
I know, but I mean, where are we landing with that so it can be, it's not like that on the ordinance, the way that I read it? You follow what I'm saying? Something that maybe we need to discuss so that he can make whatever changes is we've had different case scenarios. I know that since I've been on the board, there's been different ways that we've done sealed bids. I remember we sold a trailer and like a mailman truck or something, didn't we? And we did that with sealed bids and didn't have any issues whatsoever and posted how it was gonna happen, but then we had a hiccup. A little bit of a hiccup, yeah, so, but I personally, I think we should always have live. I think you'll get a better return, you know, which was obvious.
But it needed to be posted, advertised like that.
Well, and that's why I'm saying, however we decide the verbiage in the ordinance, I'm fine with whatever. All I care about is
How
that
can you have a sealed bid?
We
You have to go to
consistently-
bids and have an auction.
we consistently do it. You know what I'm saying? However we choose, because it's not cut and dry in the ordinance.
That's something we're probably gonna have to look at again.
Yeah, that was changed, Tony, with David Aller through there somewhere, if I'm correct. I don't know when, I don't know how it all came.
Well,
There was a couple of us that
what we
was
need to do is all we need to do is discuss the way that.
Walk down one way and how we're gonna do it and stay with it, period.
Yes,
Yeah, if
yes.
you're gonna have an auction, have an auction. If you're gonna have sealed bid, have sealed bid.
Thank you, Tony. I'm totally on board with that.
Because the way they did it the last few times before that was.
And really, to be honest with you, yeah, this is my third year, and we've only had two, so it's not like it occurs all the time. If we could avoid, said, if we are going to do something and we are going to have a live auction. And whatever verbiage we need, maybe Frank's familiar with that, you know, maybe that's something that he's worked with before in the municipality. As long as we're on the same board, on the same page.
Every time we had a sealed bid, we always had a minimum price.
Well, you could put reserve if you choose.
Yes.
And
That's what we did. We would do a
if we
reserve.
didn't get it, then it didn't sell, and 2-3 years down the road, we put it up for bid again.
And normally what would happen in that fashion, Tony, would be that they would say, okay, well, I guess we're gonna turn this into a live auction. And that, we just need to be consistent on how we do it, and it needs to be there. So the public can know. Are we okay with that?
Yeah. it needs to
Live
be-
Business?
Well, again,
Or you wanna do a committee and discuss it again, get it?
gotta keep talking about it.
Yeah, get some input from Mark, maybe. The only other thing that I don't know that we addressed, and Gary, I think maybe you had brought this up at one point in time.
7-1.
What's that?
Our agenda and order of business, we don't conduct it like the IML and like it is on, and what I'm saying is, you know, it doesn't even say it does the Pledge of Allegiance in there. I wonder if we have to actually follow that. The committee placements are different.
the IML's a guideline.
Well, we, based on what we have right now, we don't follow in the order. You follow what I'm saying? I don't know if that needs to be, if we're allowed the liberty to change that up. If we are, then we don't necessarily to change it. But
It
those
just has to be
committee
approved.
assignments are not lined up
It just
either.
has to be approved and voted on.
Yeah.
Approved and voted on, fine with that. I'm fine with that.
We all done?
There's nothing we can, I may have made recommendations on zoning, but there's really nothing you can do without public hearings and so forth. I'm trying to think of anything. You got the storage containers covered, tiny houses
Wind
outside.
energy,
And,
solar,
what's that?
wind energy you had on here also, solar.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I noted on this, table of contents, the zoning board regulations on variances and special uses probably needs to be enhanced down the road someplace to comply with what's in the statutes and what they say you can and cannot do and so forth.
Okay.
And I would always, if you've got a good zoning board, special uses and variances, let them make the decision, period.
Yeah, we've only had a couple things come up with the zoning board, and just like you was talking earlier, it's hard to get people.
Yeah.
It really is.
And amendments always have to come back to the village board.
Yeah, correct, it'll be voted on anyway.
Yeah,
It's kind of, how it all comes about, the board, looks at it, the zoning board looks at it, and has any questions, whatever, then we turn right around and bring it to the board the next, to be voted on.
you know what I can do, because when we approach a codification update or whatever, I always say, we go through the whole thing, but we stop on zoning, because you're looking at, to really do it right, you're looking at a year with the zoning board and all the maybe testimony hearings that you need and to go over everything. And it's almost a separate animal to really accomplish, but it needs to be to modernize. And I see other notes here, you know what I'm going to do? Why don't I send you a modified generic copy of what I consider to be good zoning for you folks to look at. And if you wanna do something, whether, because that's the last meeting I had here. It wasn't in this room though. It was on zoning. And, it ended up, like I said in the beginning when I came in there, there was some lady came in the room and I don't know what tavern she'd been at, they kicked her out. It was that bad. And that was the end of the zoning for that night. But yeah, it's been 14, 15 years.
You have my contact info also, we spoke several times in the last few years,
Yeah,
so,
I think I got you.
or I can make a note and give you a shout.
217-886-1961?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the summation of whatever.
Yeah, we appreciate your help with that, but try to think you, just give us copies, we'll bring it to the committee and we'll.
And, Kip, why don't you ask Frank about your question about sealed bids, do we need an ordinance?
So, Frank, one of the questions that we have is, there have been a couple different occasions where we have, like, the first occasion, we actually did what they call sealed bids, some of the equipment that we had here. I don't really remember exactly what all on board, but I think it was a trailer and a couple different things. But we did see a sealed bid for that. And that's how we explained it in the yes, but the next time we did a little bit different way. So we'd like to be able to propose an ordinance done the correct way, and can we choose to do a live auction opposed to a sealed bid if we choose to have a reserve, or do we have those liberties?
I think there's something already in here, we just found.
I saw that too, but that was saying sealed. And then it also, it contradicts itself. Because it also says, at any given time in that ordinance book, if we decide on the day of that we wanted to change the format of how we're gonna do it, we were given that liberty. It's in that ordinance book, that if we choose that we don't wanna do sealed bids, but I mean, not that we would ever do that, but it's too contradicting. It's in there, trust me. It literally says that.
1-17.
In your experience, right, how do you recommend?
On 1-17, that's
The page.
the construction protocols that you would follow, as opposed to just taking property of the village and putting it up for sealed bids or
Live auction.
whatever, you know,
Yes.
that
Yes.
your appraiser said that you should be able to get this much money for it, or whatever the case may be. But, something with regard to the, what's called personal property of the village, I have not, other than this particular thing covering kind of construction, I have not seen any codes, even Fairview Heights doesn't have anything in there. They just follow the state statutes on the there's, I think the league has got some sample, how you would put it out for bid in the paper and so forth like that. That's what I would follow. As you don't put it into the code as such.
Okay.
It would be separate. This is just basically when you're, let's say, buying a new John Deere tractor or something like that, some implement that meets those specs, this is, say, under 25,000, which you're not gonna get, is, you can do it, and if it's over, you're gonna go out for bids on it.
And that would also apply if the village were selling some property that they own and they want, and somebody.
That, yeah, there's a certain format that you can follow, and, parcel number, address, and, the date and sealed bids on it. That's,
He's saying that that's only for construction.
Yeah, because the bumps we've hit over the last few years has been about someone privately purchasing a piece of property or
yeah.
equipment or whatever from the village.
Correct. And then Frank,
And that's when we got into, sealed bid, and then we went to auction, and
It's kind of a gray area, because sometimes a piece of property that, say you really want to get it to the neighbor, because he can use it big time. But you can't just really do that, you gotta go through the process.
and we understand that part of it, it just, are you saying that we should leave it vague? Your recommendation?
Just, whenever you're gonna do it, go to the IML site and see what they have, or access someplace like Springfield. The city,
The way the city does it, the way the city does it.
See, and they do a live auction, and they put reserve, and in my opinion, that's the way that it should be done, but I wanna make sure all the other board members are on board with that.
But what Frank's saying is we don't need to put it in the order.
I know, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah, you don't.
that's the vague.
We just need to follow what I
Oh,
know.
we just need to talk to
Follow
somebody
the
that does know the law and what we should be doing.
They are
Instead of going and stick with
I do like the way the state, the way that they do that.
Hey, did all of you get this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The guy on the right, Martin Komsky, was my student in high school years ago. And they all had to do term paper, and I walked in his office, and I said, "Did you ever turn the term paper in?" And he looks at me, he says, "Wait a second."
Okay, we're done.
Amen.
Are we done?
One more, you know,
it done?
So we done?
That's the basic yes.
Frank, what else you got, my friend?
That's up to,
That's it.
up to the,
As far as I know, we haven't hit the lottery yet.
Thank you for taking the time and coming down and spending this with us.
Come on, Frank.
We appreciate your, oh, wait a minute.
We got a question over here on
Yes, it's on 13.
On page 11-7.
11-7.
What page?
11-7.
11-7? Oh, that, we're taking that out of the code,
Are you serious?
chapter 11. That's gonna be,
that's what you have.
that's gonna be your main,
Okay, so
letter
then
of
we're
command.
still yes.
Chapter 11 on employees is gonna be used as an employee manual.
Okay, so, but we need to address this to get this right. When you talk about sick leave that you occur, you can take, the union contract says 240 hours. If you have 240 hours, you can use it towards your IMRF when you retire. This says 240 days.
Big difference.
11-7. 200.
Bentley, do you have it right in front of you?
Yeah.
Read that out loud. Read what it says, please.
240 accumulated sick days.
Days,
Yeah.
not hours.
Yes, sir.
And the union contract says 240 hours.
Yeah.
So it should be changed to 240 hours.
Yes.
See, when they leave, they can, when they leave, they get paid up to, how many hours is it?
It's 168 hours
Right,
when they
which is
leave, that's
so
what
many
they,
days.
yeah, 21 days.
But they can, if they have 240 hours and retire, they can take that 240 hours and transfer it into their IMRF.
So we need to change that to,
Yes.
yeah, so
It
it
needs to be
needs to be
240 hours, not days.
You wrote it down.
Okay.
all right.
What we'll do is correct that page, put it in a separate kind of a pamphlet thing, and get it to you then. That way you got it corrected.
And you're recommending that we leave that part out of the codification and just go with it as the employee
Yeah,
handbook?
it'll be easier to amend and address.
I agree.
And we are current and up to date on all that PTO laws too.
Well,
In chapter
and
11.
there'll have to be a section that is for those people who are union
Because the
and those
union.
people who are not.
Exactly. Salary, non-salary.
So that should probably be the next thing we look at,
Yes.
is making sure that the
Yes.
employee handbook has everything.
Frank, you don't need a copy of the union contract, do you?
So is there gonna be a visitors comment section now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I have a couple things I need to bring up.
Okay, visitors, a person shall be permitted an opportunity to address the officials on the rules established by village Kincaid. We have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, first I want to ask, is there a zoning board? Because we've been told several times there, yeah, that's what I thought, there is no actual zoning board. I just wanted to clarify that. Second thing I have is, Jamie just passed along some paperwork. You have revised ordinance 903, I believe it is, that says that, let's see, where is it at? The ordinance for non-payment of an ordinance violation and states the consumer will have due process before their water will be subject to shut off. Now, I don't know if you guys ever took the time to read any of the judge's comments from the lawsuit between Gary and I and the village, but in it, it says plaintiffs were deprived of a right secured by federal law. When a person's only water source is a municipal-owned service that person's right to the water source is a federally protected right. So currently as it stands, 903 is still violating the rights of the Kincaid citizens. So if you were to push the issue of them not paying their ordinance violation within that 45 days and shut their water off, you're opening up yourselves to another lawsuit.
Right, but what we got now is if they get an ordinance violation, they don't pay it, give it to the attorney, and he gives
Right.
them a court date. After that court date, if they don't show up for that court date, then they get their water shut off.
But you can't do that. That's against the law.
I get that, but our attorney's not here right now. He needs to be, that come from the judge, actually, so.
Actually, it came from the judge that you can't turn off a person's water. Read that little section again that I have underlined.
I got it right here.
It's federally protected. You can't turn a person's water off. And I mean, I don't know that you guys are doing that now
We haven't done
anyway.
that for a long time, so.
Well, yeah, since that was 2023 that you guys did it, but just in case for future, I suggest, I would talk it over with your attorney. He's the one who wrote that up. It's still violating the civil rights of every citizen here in Kincaid.
We will get with the attorney and talk to him about it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What do you need from us, Frank?
What I was wondering is that, what you're talking about, is it a penalty associated with something other than the utility system?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because there's, periodically there's been some, like I said, from the legal division of the IML, about water being able to turn off and all that. And, I might remember to send that to you because it, like, I think the way it was, let's say you owe money, you left town, and the village needs to collect from you, and you sell the property, the new property owner, you can't keep his water shut off. And you have to collect it from him. Yeah.
Frank,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
so do we need to vote now to accept what we
No.
talked about?
No.
Whenever I get everything finished, which will be probably about a week or two, send them up. We've got so many copies we're gonna supply and the electronic version, and we go from there. Now, in your contract, I'll say this to all of you, this meeting was not in the contract, so it's billed separate, okay? Whenever we do a full codification, see, this was just an update. We definitely did, whatever, but ended up reviewing the whole thing and taking care of the whole thing. Then this, we usually don't have meetings on this, and I'm glad you did, because I think we all ended up better. I understand more things about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and it was good.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Oh,
Gary.
I did.
Who seconded it?
hey, Molly.
Passo?
Oh, okay.
Okay, I want to show you something why I have trouble getting up. I lost both of my legs.
These?
Yeah.
The 2011.
It turned into a free-for-all.
Yes. This is my, when I'm done with them, this is my fifth one. They go to Guatemala.
You're gonna be
So I've had
So,
the
you're,
DeWitts
how you been?
and Danny Cox,
Skip, say
Andy,
Nelson?
Say yes.
Say
and
yes.
it's fine.
Yes!
Lauren? Thank you.
Doesn't even know what he's saying yes to, but he says yes.
Oh, wow. Freeburg mentions which we're getting condemned for. So anyway.
Frank, I appreciate